Welcome to part 3 of the Excel DSS project. By now you should have a spreadsheet with columns A through N filled out. The first 3 columns are your closing price, the volume, and the date. The next 3 are your competitor stock prices. You have the interest rate, the CSI numbers, and 5 commodities. Before you go any further, please click on the Save As button and save your project as an Excel workbook. Some of you may have it saved as a comma separated values sheet, a CSV. You cannot have it saved as a CSV from this point on. You must save it as an XLSX. I'll repeat that. You cannot save this as a CSV. You must save it as an XLSX. If you do not save it as an XLSX and you save it as a CSV, when we create multiple pages to this project and you hit save, a CSV file will not save your second page. And therefore, you'll have to do this project all over again. So just double check, triple check, quadruple check. Make sure you have it saved as an Excel workbook XLSX. And to get the overwrite, just overwrite. Play it safe. Okay. Next order of business is we need to go and look into our Excel add-ins. On a Mac, it's under Tools. If you go to the top menu, click on Tools, and click on Excel add-ins. Make sure your analysis tool pack is selected. If it's not selected, please put a check in that box and click OK. For PC users, I believe if you click on the Home tab on the left-hand side, there's something called Options. And then there's add-ins, and then make sure that the analysis tool pack is selected in that. If it's not selected, please check it off. You know you've done it right when you click on the data ribbon and you see data analysis as an option, as a button on the far right hand side. If you don't see this, you can stop by my office or give me a call or ask a buddy to figure out what you're doing wrong. But you all need to see this data analysis button. And when you see it, click on it and select regression. It's about 2/3 the way down. And in here, what we're going to do is we're going to start selecting our variables. The Y range is the dependent variable, and in this case, what we're comparing is the stock price of our company. I'm using Google, you're probably using something else. So the stock price is located in this column, column B. We're going to click on the very first cell in column B where it says close, and we're going to scroll down, and we are going to then hold the shift key, hold it, and then click on the last cell in that column, and then release the shift key, and that will give you the entire column. You do not want to click on the letter B here, the column header, to select the whole column because it won't work. It'll yell at you. You actually need to select everything, every cell that has a value in it, no more, no less. So in this case, we're doing B1 to B1009. Other years, this 1009 may be a smaller number, it may be a larger number, but it would always start with B1. The next range is the X range. These are your independent variables. Go up to the top, click on cell C1, which should have the word volume in it. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. And almost there. Scroll over to the last column, column N. So click on the very last cell in the last column. You cannot have any blank spaces. You can't click on this cell or this cell. You need to click on this cell. Hold the shift key down and click on the cell now. All right, you should have then an input range of C1 to N1009. And again, other years, this 1009 may be smaller, it may be larger, but it will always start with a C1 and end with an N something. There's this box called labels. Click on it. Make sure there's a check in there. That will make analysis easier on the next page that's generated. And then you want to select residuals because we'll need the residuals when we start our equation building. Okay, everything looks good. Select OK, and you will have a separate data sheet that pops up. Okay, and I'm just going to expand these cells a little bit to give myself some wiggle room. All right, let's first go to R square. I want you guys to go and highlight R square in yellow. You need to make sure that the R square number is higher than 0.5. If it's higher than 0.5, then the variables that you used to predict your stock price are pretty darn good. I got 0.95. That's really, really good. That means that there's some variables within my table here, my list here, that are really, really strong indicators to the price of Google. If it's smaller than 0.5, you need to go back to this page, go back to the last video, delete all of these commodities, and put 5 new commodities, and hopefully that will work. Okay, so that is R squared. That's our first test to see whether or not the model we're running is decent. Next, I want you to highlight this intercept line and just delete it. We don't need it. Just get rid of it. And now we're going to look at this column right here, the p-value. If you want, you can highlight it. Okay. And then what we need to do in the p-value is we need to find the significant predictors. So these are variables. And remember when I asked you to check that box that says labels, this is why you check that box that says labels. If you don't check that box, you will see variable 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a pain in the neck. If you select the box, you'll see volume, Facebook, Microsoft, or in your case, whatever your competitors are, plus the interest rate and the commodities and so on and so forth. Okay, so we're looking for significant predictors, and significant predictors have a p-value that's less than 0.05. So as we go down this list, we see that the CSI, the current CSI, has a number that's larger than 0.05. So I'm going to blank that out. And same thing with oil. So that means the price of oil and the consumer, the current consumer index have very little to no correlation. I could throw gold in there too, and I could throw copper. So these variables have very little to do in predicting the price of, in this case, Google. But the rest do. Well, you may be asking, well, why is 9.9? How is that smaller than 0.05? And if you look at the end over here, you have an E. An E means exponent. And an exponent with a negative 0.5 in this case means that there are 5 zeros ahead of this 9.9. So that number really looks like 0.12345990113. That's what this number looks like. Okay, oop, I take that back. It's one less. It's 4 zeros. I guess they count the first zero. Okay, there you go. So this number here is 0 point, and then you have 66 zeros, and it goes on forever and ever and ever until you get to 66 zeros, and then you add in the 1.02573, and that's how you get that number. So anytime you see an E that's negative, that is a good indicator. That is a good predictor in the dependent variable. So in this case, the strongest one is the price of Microsoft stock, followed by Facebook, Apple, and then interest rate. Now, -7, zinc, that's pretty good. Volume, that's pretty good. But when you get double-digit negative exponents, that's pretty darn good. These are your strongest indicators right here in this little block. So bold those if you can. Again, yours may be scattered about. Do what you can. Use your best discretion. And then finally, I want to focus on this column, coefficients. Now, I'm not that concerned about the value in this column. I'm concerned about the coefficient. I'm sorry, the sign of this actual column. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have about 6 negative numbers here. And when we focus on Apple, say, Apple has a negative 1.178 coefficient. And what a negative coefficient here means, I'm going to bold that, just because it's the only one that we've highlighted. There, okay. What that means, if it's a negative coefficient, it has a negative relationship. So when the price of Apple goes up, the price of Google, our dependent variable, will go down. And vice versa. When the price of Apple goes down, Google will go up. Whereas these guys, volume, Facebook, Microsoft, and interest rates, they have a positive coefficient or a positive correlation with the price of Google. So there's a one-to-one relationship. So when Facebook goes up, Google goes up. When Microsoft goes down, Google goes down. Okay, so that is what's important in that column. So keep track or keep note of the R-square, the p-value. I'm really going to focus a lot of my attention on these 4 variables, and then finally coefficients. Understand what each of these columns mean, what each of these numbers mean, and then when you write your paper, you're going to have to explain it. The next video, we are going to start building our equations, and we'll be pretty close to completing this project.